Hi everyone, Gemma here. Thank you for watching today. So in this video we're going to be making this shaped cake 3-tier card. It's a top folding card, it stands up like so. Just show you the back so you can see the shape of it, and no specialty dies are required to make the actual shape of the card. Obviously I've used dies to decorate the tiers excuse me, and the flowers and foliage elements there. I think it's absolutely stunning. Love the colour palette on this, so much so that I went and had my nails done in a similar design. Let me know what you think. So I'll hold it up a little closer so you can see all that gorgeous detail with the pearls on the flowers and the foliage, the heat embossing on the two pink tiers there, and then this sort of trellis style die on the middle tier, and then you've got celebrate with cake. So let's get into the tutorial. So before I talk you through all of the elements that I've prepared off camera, I just show you the products that I'm using in today's video. So I've got the Big Delights sentiment sticker sheet. I've got the new home editions, and these are the flower dies, and then I've got the Love and Cake stamp and die set. So you've got the handle die, for example. You've got all these lovely candles, hearts, like a dicky bow or a bow, however you look at it. You've got this really lovely trellis die, these edges, and this sort of stamp here. So some really lovely elements within this die set. And I saw Monica, aka Paper Mona, she's on Lou Collins' Textures design team, and she shared a card recently using the new shape dies from Creative Craft Products with a 3-tier cake, and I thought it was such a lovely card, and I was so inspired to create something similar using this stamp and die set. So let me talk you through all the elements that I've prepared off camera. So I've gone ahead and I've cut several flowers and added some pearls within the center. So I've got sort of a pastel palette for this card style. So I've got some hearts, I've got sentiment prepared, some foliage, then again I've added those pearls just to add the detail on there, and some of the leaf dies. So if I just bring that back in, for example, on these sort of foliage and leaf dies here, you've got the stamp to add additional detail, and then you've got the outline die, but I've just used the outline die on these. You could heat emboss. I've used that before on previous makes, and the detail is really lovely. I've got my 3 layers of, or my 3 tiers of the cake. So I'll just show you those. So they're going to stack one on top of the other. So I've just manually cut the panels. So the first panel, the smallest one, is 4.5 by 2.5. So they're all 2.5 in height, and then the width is 5.5 for the middle one, and 6.5 for the largest. So 4.5, 5.5, 6.5, and they're going to sit on top of each other there. So I've used the trellis die for the center tier, the middle tier. I've used the scalloped edge to create this sort of beading for the bottom of the layer. On the 2 other panels, then I've heat embossed this lovely detail with white embossing powder. So the stamp is slightly smaller than what I wanted for the last layer, but I'm going to be adding some floral elements, so this will cover up the join there, so no one will sort of notice that. So there's sort of 2 ways in which you could go about this. I cut 3 scraps of cardstock to measure the same size as the tiers that I've got here, and I've stacked them on top of one another, and I've roughly cut around it excuse me, to create this template. You could then keep this for, you know, future makes, or if you're batch making, and then take a top folding card blank, and I've got the fold at the top, as I said. Line up your template, draw around it, and then cut the card. But all I'm going to do to make things really simple is I'm just going to glue these panels to the front of the card, and then I'm just going to cut around it. So then I've got my shaped card base and all of my layers in place where I want them. So I'm just going to attach the first layer, and then I'm going to start adding all of the floral and foliage elements. I'm going to pop them up onto some foam so it's got some really lovely dimension. So I'm just going to take the top tier. As I said, you could place this in the center or just off to the right, it's entirely up to you. And I'm going to make sure that that lines up to the top of the card. I'm going to do the same then for the next 2 layers. So add your glue to the panel, and then I'm just going to place that in the center, and then do the same for the last one. So you can take a pair of scissors, your trimmer, however you want to cut this. I'm going to take a ruler and a craft knife, and I'm just going to use the straight edges as the guide, and then I'm going to cut through both layers at the same time. So I've cut around the edges there. This sort of edge is a little dodgy. I'm having issues with my hands today. They're both going numb, and I've got sort of pins and needles in them, so having difficulty sort of feeling the tools that I'm using. So anyway, I'll cover that up with some flowers and hide that. So you've got the shaped card with the top fold, and it just stands up on the side like so. And then I've got all these lovely floral elements to add on each tier. So I've got one of each colour. To add something like that. Then got these lovely foliage pieces that I'm going to tuck behind, and this one there, and then I've got some hearts. Let me just move this slightly, and I've got the celebrate with cake. I don't know if you can quite see that. I'm going to pop that somewhere, and then perhaps some of these lovely stitch hearts just the other side to add some further detail. So I'll probably pop you on high speed now while I attach all of this. As I said, I'm going to add some foam to add dimension, and I'll probably use some 3D glue gel as well, just to give me that flexibility, because that takes a while to dry, and it adds that lovely dimension, but also you can tuck things behind, and you've got quite a bit of time to move things about if you're not happy with your placement. So there's the final card. I am so pleased with how this has turned out. It's super cute. Love the pastel colours of the cardstock. I think it just works so lovely together. You could make this slightly larger if you've got the made to surprise bride and groom topper. You could have that on the top there, make it more. You could have all the layers in white and flowers in white to make that look more bridal or wedding. I just think it's so sweet. I just love the extra touches with the pearls there on the flowers and the foliage. If you've got a certain size envelope you want to fit within, just be mindful when you have these pieces overhanging that you work within those parameters, and also be mindful of this bottom edge, so you don't want anything overhanging that will affect it from standing up. This would be a really lovely birthday cake. You could use the candles from this set to add them to each layer. You could add some bunting on here. You could add nouveau drops. This is so many ways in which you could decorate this, and I think it's such a really lovely idea. And I'm going to say it again, I just love how this has come together. I'm so pleased with the final result. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video from me. If you have, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit the like button. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, then you may want to consider subscribing, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future tutorials. All the products I've used in today's video will be listed in the description box below. Once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.